out the aliens just want Kirk, and he's like, so he agrees. He's like, you can have me, but let the others go.
Right.
But then the aliens make everyone else disappear. There's Foolies by the dozen. Foolies on top of Foolies. It's like the inception of Foolies.
Yeah, it really is.
Kirk gets mad, and he gets disappeared too. So he's like, you fucking dicks. So the aliens hang Kirk by his arms, and they torture him.
Yeah, that's a pretty sexy scene.
It's very sexy. Gempath helps with her magic touch, though. Gempath. She helps with her magic touch, though, and she starts to... She gets his wounds for a bit.
But then she absorbs them.
Yeah, they heal up. But she
Wolverine style.
Yeah, like healing factor style. But she passes out from the strain.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Bones then want either Bones or Spock. They say Bones has an 87% chance of dying, and Spock has a 93% chance of going crazy.
Those are really specific odds.
Exactly. They have a statistician in the back as well on salary. Dave and Gary.
He's like, should I calculate both like crazy probability and death probability?
And they're like, no, just do crazy for this one and this one for dying. And the Graver's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, Gary, get back to work.
Right next, like they share an office.
Yeah. They walk in like,
his head pops up.
They're like, hey, Dave, we got some dudes we're about to torture. Could you rack up some
just give us some numbers,
some probability percentages? We got 2 guys, one crazy and nuts, one for each. And he's like, well, do you want me to do like both just in case? Like, that's fine, it's cool.
Just pick one for each.
Just one for each, and like, I mean, it's your call. And get it to us whenever you can. Thanks, buddy. And Gary's like, fuck you, are you kidding? What the hell? So that's the inner workings of this planet.
I wish we had seen that.
If this episode had a baby with The Office.
Yes.
Bones knocks them both out. Knocks out Kirk and Spock, and he offers himself up to the aliens. And Kirk and Spock wake up, and they're like, "Hey, it's fucking. We've had enough of this shit."
This is bull.
So they show up in the torture chamber, where Bones is nearly dead. They're rainbow force fielded again.
Yep.
But Jem finally nuts up and tries to help Bones.
Right.
The aliens reveal this is all some elaborate test
oh my God.
For Gempath's people to see if they're worth saving from some supernova. And when they're like, we want to see if she can be empathetic to other people, and
if she's willing to die for them.
Yeah, exactly. And
will she make the ultimate sacrifice?
And she
because apparently being willing to die is the only reason you should be able to survive.
Exactly. So she takes a rest from healing Bones because it's starting to put too much strain on her.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, I guess you can't sacrifice yourself. Guess we're gonna kill your people." But they still want to complete the test. They're like, which means that either Gempath or Bones will die.
Right.
Like, Bones will die from his wounds, or Gempath will absorb them and die from the strain. Like, what the fuck?
Why do they need a test? Why couldn't they just be like, let's do what we can to help? Like, they've spent so much time and effort engraving plaques, running numbers.
Crunching numbers. But
they've got the NASA of fucking with people in this place. Like,
but it's like, and also it's like, they still want to complete the test. It's like, it's like, if I'm like in a class and I'm taking a test, and I was like, I have like 10 questions left, and I'm like, I don't know. Well, I don't know any of these, and let's say they're not even multiple choice. Right, they're fill in the blank.
Right.
And you have no idea whatsoever.
Okay.
It's like, would you bother even writing anything down?
No.
I'd be like, yeah, fuck it.
Fuck this.
But according to these guys, like, no, write something down. Be like, oh, this is fucking pointless. That's 4 words.
Draw a skull and crossbones in the bubbles.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
So Spock breaks free, and Kirk's all like, you guys are jerks. She was willing to save Bones, but Bones pushed her away. Bones is like, no, don't do this. Like, yeah.
Right.
You can heal him. You can heal him if you want, but you're jerks, and you lack what you want Gempath to have. You're jerks. You're assholes. You're jerks.
Right. He pronounces judgment on them.
And the aliens are like, yeah, actually, that's a really good point.
Good point.
They save everyone in the end.
Right. Jerry, why don't you go home early today?
So, yeah.
I'm spying on your notes here. I've got to ask, what are the numbers at the bottom of each episode? Is that where you take the screen captures?
Where I screen grab, yes.
Fun fact.
Next episode is the Tholian Web.
I dug this one. Especially after the Empath.
This one was, I guess, it might have helped.
Coming on the heels of the Empath.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I feel like this is a
caught
great...
in its like the comet's tail of,
exactly.
of mediocrity.
Yeah, because it's not awful, it's just boring, that episode. Not fully...
The Empath?
Yeah, the Empath. I think that this is...
I brought up a point, we're at a Renaissance fair this weekend.
Yes, we were. For a wedding.
Yeah,
a Ren Fair wedding.
As if doing a weekly Star Trek podcast
wasn't enough.
Didn't make us dorky enough. And I was saying that I think as a kid, I might have seen Star Trek. Because for some reason, one of the big reasons we're doing this podcast for me is because I always felt like Star Trek was like a missing slice of my dork pie.
Right.
Like I have comics and Star Trek and
Star Wars.
Star Wars and
Doctor Who.
We're
getting ready to play some D&D.
All manner of things, yeah, and
all manner of geekery.
All manner of geekery, and so I was like, "Oh, let's go back to the original. Let's watch it. I want to get some Trek in my life, especially after the 2009 movie was so dope.
Yeah,
completely
so
different in
a lot of ways.
In context, I guess not so much in themes."
But in terms, in context and in what's on its mind is very different.
And in themes, the characterizations are still spot on.
Right. It's a really great character-driven action movie, is what I would say.
But
hopefully they'll bring some ideas in for the sequels.
But also, I don't remember every single thing that happened in my childhood.
Right.
So I want to say that I might have seen an episode that was Empath-like, or maybe it might have been that episode where... And that's what I figured out. What I figured Star Trek is really like slow moving and really boring, like sci-fi show.
I saw this is another one of the ones I saw as a kid where I was like, God damn, this show sucks.
Yeah,
like what? This is so boring. And I watched it. I remember watching this all the way through. I don't know why. It was another one of those. I'm gonna watch Star Trek. I'm done with Star Trek.
Fuck Star Trek.
Fuck Star Trek. I mean it. Yeah, it's not very good. It's not Paradise Syndrome bad or what's it called bad? The alternative.
The alternative factor.
But it's just lame. All right, but this one I liked. I think this is a great middle of the road season 1 style episode.
So the Tholian Web, the Enterprise is looking for this ship that they haven't found in a while.
Right. It's like fishing for sharks in Animal Crossing.
They're in uncharted space.
Mm-hmm.
And I would figure that wouldn't they also be charting this as they're
you
looking?
Would think they would be
like two birds.
Right down that star.
Yeah, that one. Anyway, so they spot the ship and it's glowing like Mr. Burns in that Simpsons X-Files crossover episode.
It's bright green.
And so the Holy Trinity plus Chekhov beam aboard, and it's all messed up. And there are two dudes dead,
mm-hmm.
and one is choking the other.
Yeah.
That's how they died. They die, one guy died getting choked and the other guy died choking.
Yep.
So they figured there might have been some kind of mutiny
because
mm-hmm. the ship is still functioning, so they assumed that those responsible might still be there.
Right. So
Kirk orders a security squad, and literally 2 seconds later, Spock announces that there are no life forms aboard. And I'm like, what's up with that writing, homie?
Yeah, seriously.
It's like I don't know.
What do you mean? 2 seconds after they order a security squad?
Yeah, Kirk,
why wouldn't you have asked Spock first, maybe?
Or or not even thinking meta, into thinking the characters themselves. But why wouldn't the writer be oh, Kirk should start to say oh, I'm going to order a security squad, and then Spock can be no need, Captain. There are no life forms aboard.
Right. I guess because they need somebody to...
I guess Uhura needs to have a line in every episode.
One line, yeah.
Just a one line. So they keep finding all these dead bodies, and super oogie, and Chekhov is the most affected.
Yeah.
Because he's just a young Russian and has never seen death, because Russia is this utopia of ideas and inventions and whatnot.
It's beautiful.
So Bones said that everyone killed everyone else.
His professional opinion.
As a medical doctor.
Everybody's killing everybody else.
So and also like the ship is dissolving. Like he puts his hand through and it goes like through a table.
Yeah, pretty funky.
So they try to beam back, but Scotty says that the Defiant is mucking with the Enterprise, like with the transporter beam. So only 3 of them can come back right now.
Right.
And Kirk's like, I'll stay back here because I'm a hoss. I'm sure that decision won't come back to bite him.
Well, Spock wanted to stay, and Kirk was like, absolutely not.
How does that make sense, though? He's the captain.
Well, I think his attitude toward it is, I'm the captain, I'm responsible for everybody on this ship, so if there is a risk to be taken for only one person, then it's my responsibility to take it.
But at the same time, it's like, it seems pretty silly to stay behind for something like it would seemingly so trivial.
Right.
But,
right.
So,
yeah, it's true. It's true.
So the transporter beam, it takes a second to get them back, kind of like an old car where you gotta turn the engine a couple times.
Yeah.
Give it some gas, but it finally takes. And so the 3 get back, but it won't work for Kirk. And then Chekhov looks out a window and he's like, "Oh, the Defiant is gone. It's not there anymore."
Right. Real quick, isn't the Defiant the name of Worf's ship that he drives in Deep Space Nine? And
yes, because the name sounded familiar.
Yeah,
because I was like, didn't they try to find this ship already once before?
Wasn't this ship in First Contact?
And so I looked it up, and the only information there's the Defiant was also the name of a ship in the original series, blah, blah, but it was all about Worf's ship.
Okay.
So
it was probably a callback, but not an important one.
Yeah. So or just didn't remember. Whatever. Defiant's
also
a dope
possibility,
name.
Yeah.
So whatever. Excuse me. So whatever a spatial interface is, I don't know. They explain it, but
whatever.
They gotta wait till the next one to get Kirk.
Right. It's when the dimensions meet up.
Yeah. Then when they overlap, which will be in 2 hours and some change.
Speaking of. Well, we can talk about this at the end of the show, because it's not really specific to this episode, but it's just a geeky theory I had.
Okay.
All right. We'll talk about it at the end.
But yeah, they're overlapping universi. So Kirk has 3 hours in his spacesuit, which is, I always love seeing stuff from the 50s and 60s. Mm-hmm. And seeing in 50 years,
this is what we'll wear.
Spacemen will look like this, and it just looks nothing.
It's a garbage bag with a clear plastic flap in the front for Kirk's face. Yeah, those are fun. So
Chekhov goes nuts, and he has to be nerve pinched.
Yep.
A murderous rage in his eyes, Spock soliloquies. And ship shows up, and Commander Loskin pops up on the screen. And he tells the Enterprise to bounce because this is our turf.
Right.
And Spock says, we can't. We got to wait for our homie. And Loskin's like, okay.
He should be back in an hour.
Yeah, I was like, okay, you can wait for him. But, if you're playing a fully.
Right. In an hour and 1 minute, we're going to start shooting.
The second, he's like,
right.
You got to wait an hour and 15 minutes. All right, but an hour and 16 minutes, if you're playing a fully, we're going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
So they time cut. Because it's only an hour show,
right? So we don't sit with them through every minute of the hour.
So they're preparing for the next spatial interface, and suddenly some medic dude attacks Bones. Chapel helps him out though,
yeah.
But they can't find Kirk based on the coordinates that they have. And Bones asks Spock if this interface thing has happened. And the way he says it, makes it sound like he doesn't know what's going on. The audience lives vicariously through Bones. He's like, is this interface thing happening? And I'm like, fuck it, yeah, is it?
Is it? I don't understand.
Thanks, Bones. Thank you for saying what I'm thinking.
I think Bones, that's the role he's supposed to play on the show. He is the audience most of the time.
Because we're all racist and we hate half-breeds.
Well, he's the predominantly white male audience. It's right, this is bullshit. Green-blooded hobgoblins running around like they're people.
Pretending they're people.
Speaking of which, Carl Urban uses that line in Star Trek 09. He calls Spock a green-blooded hobgoblin.
Does he?
Yes.
I need to watch that before.
You should rewatch it before we go see Into Darkness.
So Spock's no, or I think maybe he says it is, I forget, but...
Or maybe yes, I don't know.
But he says that the area of space that they're in is causing like the people going nuts, like Chekhov and the medic dude. So Lasky attacks like he said he was going to. Mm-hmm. Bones wants to leave, but Spock's like no. He attacks the ship, disabling it, and